One veteran rest day barely registers. 3 straight absences after trainers worked on the surgically repaired leg changed the mood inside the facility. Bolt fam, get ready. Today the conversation is not hiding in the loudest headline. It is what the practice schedule reveals. Concern around Herbert's protection, speed earning real ground, a new signing fighting to survive, and internal battles turning vicious. Subscribe to catch the next move. When Harbaugh starts testing pieces close to preseason, every rep matters, and every absence does too. Start with the detail no responsible observer can brush aside. Rashawn Slater went into the medical tent during the August 4th practice in San Diego and was not cleared to return to that session. Trainers were working specifically on his left leg, the same one surgically repaired after his ruptured patellar tendon. He practiced the next day. When the roster returned to the Bolt on August 6th, he practiced again. The first read felt reassuring. The scare had been managed, the recovery was moving forward, and a crisis appeared to have been avoided. Then the timeline bent in a different direction over the weekend. The Chargers did not practice Friday. On Saturday, Jim Harbaugh listed Slater among the veterans receiving a rest day, which made complete sense for a player of his importance with that recent medical history. Sunday arrived, and Slater remained out. On Monday, according to Chris Rim, his name showed up once again among the players who did not practice. What began as one isolated day of management had suddenly become 3 consecutive missed practices. Did he suffer another injury? The information available does not support calling it that. It also does not give fans a reason to pretend 3 straight absences were obviously part of the plan from the beginning. Harbaugh said Saturday that he believed Slater was making good progress. He also pointed out that Slater had reached 3 reps without rotating after previously handling 2. There is progress inside this process. At the same time, a patellar tendon recovery does not move according to anyone's preferred schedule, and the body's response can force a plan to take a few steps back. Harbaugh wants his starters on the field against the 49ers and Rams. Without Slater, this line loses its best opportunity to develop continuity at real game speed. My issue is not caution. Caution is the job. My issue is the lack of a visible answer while the preseason clock keeps accelerating. Slater does not need to prove how tough he is in August. He needs to be whole when the games count. But the question behind the scenes is now concrete. Are we watching routine workload management, or did his body ask for a longer pause than the staff expected? While one absence drives the concern, one presence is beginning to change the offense. Brennan Thompson did not arrive in Los Angeles with a clean, straight-line college story. He began at Texas, moved to Oklahoma, and produced only 471 receiving yards across 2 seasons there. His path finally opened at Mississippi State. More than 1,000 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and multiple school records. That leap turned an overlooked player into a bet built around something coaches cannot manufacture: speed that creates separation before a defense can repair the angle. The people watching camp closely are noticing what has happened next. Thompson is not flashing once on a designed highlight and then disappearing from the picture. He keeps becoming a target for Justin Herbert during team periods. Omar Navarro of the Chargers' official site noted that frequency, along with the recognition the rookie has already drawn from teammates and coaches. A quarterback's trust comes from reaching the right depth, finishing the route properly, and giving him a predictable answer when the coverage changes. I love the explosion. What fan would not? But his road to the roster runs through everything that happens after the burst. Thompson has to show he can beat contact off the line, locate the football without surrendering speed, adjust when Herbert recognizes pressure, and contribute in assignments that never make the highlight reel. The difference between an August sprinter and a receiver who helps on Sundays lives in those quiet repetitions. The shape of the receiver room makes his rise even more compelling. Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, and Trey Harris make up the leading trio in this competition. Behind them, Thompson is battling Darius Davis and Keandre Lambert-Smith for roster spots. Every target Herbert sends his way signals that the staff wants to learn how far this vertical threat can stretch a defense. That is where I see a strategic opportunity, not merely a great camp story. Mike McDaniel can use that speed to pull a safety away from the space where McConkey operates, lighten the box for the running game, and punish man coverage whenever a defense decides to pressure Herbert. Thompson does not need 10 catches to change an opponent's behavior. He needs to convince a defensive coordinator that ignoring him could cost 6 points. Across the roster, Joe Ortiz made a move that looks quiet but feels ruthless underneath. Wide receiver Monte Morrow left the 90-man group, and edge rusher Andre Carter II took his place. The swap addresses a simple imbalance. Los Angeles had a crowd of receiver candidates and a greater need at the back end of its pass rush rotation. This August adjustment opened a fight where nobody has time for a slow introduction. Carter arrives with athletic dimensions, power, and agility that still create intrigue, but his history in the league guarantees him nothing. After stints with the Vikings and Raiders, he spent last season on the Dolphins' practice squad and later had a brief futures deal with Washington. In Minnesota, he appeared in 12 games and played 46% of the team's special team snaps. That last number carries weight. To win a depth role here, Carter must bring value even when he is not chasing the quarterback. But Bolt fam, here is where the story gets interesting. This signing also sends a message to Bud Dupree, Kyle Kennard, Nudame Tucker, and Garmin Randolph. Tuli Tuipulo II and Khalil Mack lead the room. Akeem Mesidor, a first-round selection, naturally enters the heart of the rotation. Everything behind those three belongs to the competition. Carter was not brought in to stand at the back of a line. He was brought in because Los Angeles still wants a stronger answer for its fourth, and perhaps fifth, edge spot. Kennard may feel the greatest pressure. He was already dealing with Tucker's rise, and the undrafted rookie knows defensive coordinator Chris O'Leary from their time together at Western Michigan. If Tucker pushes Kennard off the 53-man roster, Kennard and Randolph would become natural practice squad candidates. That leaves Carter staring at a compressed timeline. In less than 3 weeks, he must show that he deserves a developmental spot other players have spent much longer building their cases for. That is a brutal assignment, but Ortiz's logic deserves a strong defense. Defensive depth has become a defining trait of this Chargers era, especially in the secondary. The pass rush, however, still offers less security once you move beyond the leading names. Adding Carter gives the staff another possible answer before cuts and prevents old investment from becoming artificial protection. If Tucker produces more, he climbs. If Kennard answers the pressure, he stays alive. If Carter turns his power into disruption and helps on special teams, the staff has to redraw the roster. Carter does not arrive as a finished solution. He arrives as organized pressure. Teams trying to survive in the AFC have to turn the bottom of the roster into a real fight, because injuries and wear eventually call on the very players everyone treated like background details in August. Pull the camera back. Sunday's practice showed this pressure running through the offensive line, reaching the first-round pick, and spreading into the defensive depth chart. 2 weeks of camp delivered a sharp message. Reputation protects nobody, and preseason football will demand proof. The competition at left guard is the clearest example. After Zion Johnson left for Cleveland, Los Angeles entered the battle with Trevor Penning, Kayode Awosika, and rookie Jake Slaughter. Trey Pipkins and Branson Taylor joined the equation, making the picture much less predictable. Awosika appeared to be leading based on Harbaugh's assessment. Slaughter, a second-round pick, regained ground after initially looking like he had lost momentum. Then came the surprise. Taylor opened Sunday's practice with the first-team offense. That was not symbolic. Harbaugh praised Taylor for remaking his body during the offseason and said the feedback from Ben Herbert and the performance staff was overwhelmingly positive. When a 2025 sixth-round pick changes his body, earns reps, and reaches the first unit, camp speaks for him. The first unofficial depth chart listed Awosika, Slaughter, and Taylor as possibilities, and the Chargers want their starting line established around the second preseason game. There is a legitimate debate here. The investment in Slaughter points toward meaningful upside, but Justin Herbert cannot be protected according to draft capital alone. If Taylor or Awosika owns the job right now, the rookie can develop without forcing the offense to pay for impatience. The winner must identify pressure and keep the interior of the pocket from destroying the timing of the play. Practice also delivered a moment that fires up the imagination. Akeem Mesidor wanted Joe Alt because facing tackles at that level can speed up his NFL adjustment. Sunday, he beat Alt cleanly inside with the spin move developed at Miami under Jason Taylor. One-on-ones favor the rusher and do not recreate a guard's help. Even so, a rookie beating Alt clean is a flash worth remembering. The volume rose in the smaller battles too. Nudame Tucker recorded another sack. Kyle Kennard won several reps off the edge. Chris O'Leary praised both of them. Undrafted corner Avery Smith keeps showing up, and Junior Colson made his presence felt as a blitzer. Those players are trying to turn one noticeable moment into a defined role before final cuts arrive. Bolt crew, sound off! Which competition belongs under the brightest preseason spotlight? Left guard tops my list because every mistake there reaches Herbert immediately. But I like the larger signal. Harbaugh and Ortiz are letting a rebuilt body, one polished move, or a run of sacks alter the hierarchy. That is how a roster leaves comfort behind and finds production. Los Angeles left these practices with one real concern, one weapon accelerating, and several hierarchies under attack. Slater requires patience without complacency. Thompson deserves opportunities without shortcuts. Carter is racing the calendar, and the left guard competition must end with the best protection, not the most convenient name. That internal intensity can make the Chargers stronger if it leads to the right decisions. Subscribe and come feel this season with us. Bolt fam, I need your opinion on this one. Is this competition producing answers, or are the Chargers entering preseason with too many questions? I am ready to see who turns the inside story into production. Bolt up!